Hello and welcome to the Newscast. Today is March 4th, 1868, and I'm Shannon.
And I'm Nicole, and today we're here with live updates on the impeachment trial of Andrew Johnson.
Andrew Johnson is being charged with the violation of the Tenure of Office Act and reproaching the Congress of the United States.
There was a vote in the House of Representatives in which they voted 126 to 47 to impeach Johnson on these terms.
Which leads us to the trial in the Senate today.
We'll now send you to Haley with live updates outside the courthouse.
Thanks, Shannon and Nicole. Right now, I'm outside the courtroom for the impeachment trial of Andrew Johnson. It should be starting any second now. Let's head in.
Andrew Johnson deserves to be here today due to his actions regarding the seizure of the Department of War and his seemingly existing plan to overthrow the Congress of the United States.
Right here is the general attorney for the prosecution side. He is Benjamin F. Butler. The judge on this case is Chief Justice Salmon Chase, and President Andrew Johnson is right here. He is listening to the opening statement.
We demand unbiased judgment by the jury to ensure the impeachment of President Andrew Johnson.
What was that guy talking about?
I will now ask the defense to read their opening statement.
The opening statement for the defensive side will be read by Benjamin Curtis. He is well known for his decision in the Dred Scott case. He will be questioning the constitutionality of the Tenure of Office Act, which states that a president cannot remove certain office holders that has been appointed to him in his presidency without the consent of the Senate.
The defense argues that the President Andrew Johnson was not covered by the Tenure of Office Act because the term of Lincoln ended with his death, and that President Johnson did not in fact violate the act because he did not succeed in removing Stanton from his office, and that the act itself unconstitutionally infringed upon the powers of the president.
Order in the courtroom.
I invite the prosecution to invite their first witness.
I would like to call up Mr. Edwin Stanton to the stand, please.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Can you explain who you are to the jury?
I am Edwin Stanton, and I am former Secretary of War during the presidency of Abraham Lincoln. I would do anything to get Andrew Johnson impeached, ASAP as possible.
Can you explain the situation that occurred regarding your position of Secretary of War?
After my suspension from Andrew Johnson, I felt as though he was violating my rights from the Tenure of Office Act, so therefore I refused to leave my position.
I do not agree with Stanton's radical Republican way of thinking.
The first witness the defense called up is Lorenzo Thomas. He replaced Stanton as Secretary of War.
Can you explain to the jury who you are and what your relationship with Andrew Johnson is?
I am Lorenzo Thomas, and Andrew Johnson sent me to deliver the message to Stanton that he would be removed from his position as Secretary of War and that I would be replacing him.
And what was Stanton's reaction when he found out that he was being dismissed and you were his replacement?
Well, he was obviously mad. He was in constant denial that he was no longer going to be the Secretary of War. When I was sent by Johnson to replace Stanton, he locked himself in his office for 90 days and wouldn't come out. How mature. Because he thought that the Tenure of Office Act protected his rights, even though really it was unconstitutional.
The second witness the prosecution is calling up is Thaddeus Stevens. He is a radical leader, and Andrew Johnson and Thaddeus Stevens do not get along.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Mr. Stevens, can you tell us, please, your opinion on Andrew Johnson?
In my opinion, he is a terrible president. Everything he does is unconstitutional. He doesn't listen to anyone else's opinion, and he has overused his veto power. And I just feel like everything he does is for his own good, and he doesn't care about anyone else.
The second witness the defense is calling up is the man of the hour, Andrew Johnson.
Why did you remove Edwin Stanton in the first place? I removed Edwin Stanton because I wanted to ignite Congress, because I knew that the Tenure of Office Act was unconstitutional anyway, so I fired him. Also, Lincoln died, and I should have been able to assume his presidency and appoint a new cabinet members, including Stanton, and I would not have appointed Stanton in the first place because I don't agree with his way of thinking.
So you are planning on bringing the act to court anyway?
Yes.
How do you feel about the accusations you face today?
I feel that the accusations I face today are all petty, and there's no concrete reason for why I'm sitting here today. It's a waste of my time, it's a waste of everyone else's time, and clearly no one wants to be here, including this fish. That was a good one, I'm proud of that, but seriously, who names their kid Salmon?
I will now ask that the prosecution and the defense read their closing statements, and we will start with the prosecution.
What's even left to say? Johnson is an unconstitutional tyrant. He tried to overrule Congress, he violated the Tenure of Office Act, and with that, the Constitution as a whole. The differences of ideas for Reconstruction and his inability to see anyone else's point of view but his own all led to this trial today, and therefore are all reasons why Johnson should be impeached.
I now call the defense to read their closing statement.
Andrew Johnson does not deserve to be impeached today. The charges that he faced are not just. The Tenure of Office Act itself is unconstitutional, not the actions of Andrew Johnson himself. I plead that the jury see past the petty arguments of the prosecution.
Petty?
Yes, petty. I plead that the jury sees past the petty arguments of the prosecution today and not impeach President Andrew Johnson.
What do you mean petty?
Order! Order.
Johnson himself was unconstitutional.
Order. Order.
Everything he did.
Order.
I don't get paid enough for this. My arguments were not petty, and if anything, Johnson is petty.
I'd like to thank everyone for their attendance and the opinions and inputs that we got based on the impeachment of Andrew Johnson, and I think the court needs some time to deliberate, so there'll be a recess in the court. Long day.
While we wait for the decision of the court, let's go back to Nicole and Shannon in the newsroom.
Thanks, Haley. Things are getting pretty tense there in the courtroom.
Yeah, I think we need to take a break. We'll be right back.
History Film Productions proudly presents the story of two friends on an expedition in the New World, who while discovering new things also discovered the meaning behind their friendship. Together, they experienced every hardship imaginable, yet they still made it through. But was it all worth it? Behind the Trails, the untold story of Lewis and Clark. Coming soon, winter 2020.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Oh. We have update of the first impeachment trial in United States history. Chief Justice Chase has just declared the decision of the jury.
Based on the arguments presented in court, Chief Justice has declared that Andrew Johnson's actions are not impeachable.
Well, there you have it, folks. Tell us what you think about all this. Write us a letter or two to share your thoughts.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow.